today's topic, Steven Crowwder. All right, so if you aren't aware, recently, I believe Joe Biden passed a form of stimulus that is going to encourage the farming industry as well as a lot of black farmers. A lot of the money is going to black farmers. And the reason for that is because in the past there's been a tremendous amount of discrimination against black farmers in terms of loans and things like that. So that's what's happening now in order to rectify the mistakes that they've made before. Steven Crowwder heard about this.
Former Vice President Joe Biden, of course. His America Rescue Plan includes farmer reparations. Now, what does that mean? It means, and I don't know where you find this many farmers of color, but they did, and $5.2 billion are being allocated exclusively.
If you aren't aware that black people farm, it's a very common thing, especially if you go to the South.
You don't know your story. You don't know your history.
That's just plain stereotypes and ignorance, but carry on.
For colored farmers. Farmers of color, roll the tape.
We begin today's show looking at a major provision in President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill that aims to address decades of discrimination against black, Hispanic, Native American, and Asian American farmers who've historically been excluded from government agricultural programs. The American Rescue Plan sets aside $10.4 billion for agriculture support and allocates about half the funds to farmers of color who are, quote, subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice because of their identity as members of a group, unquote. The U.S. Commission on Civil Rights confirmed as long ago as 1965 the U.S. Department of Agriculture discriminated against black farmers, but little was done to address the problem.
100 years ago?
Yeah. 100 years ago. 1965 is not 100 years ago. Are you an idiot? Is Crowwder surrounded by some of the dumbest people ever? That's like 60 years, my friend.
It's like
Do you not know how to count? It's less than 60 years.
You know when you saw that video, we did that video, all the riots and stuff like that, and I was like, Steven Crowwder is being disingenuous. What you said was
willfully
ignorant, and now that's what it is. I don't know. He doesn't know his American history or something like that, or whatever.
It's not that. He's got people around him who do the research for him. The fact that nobody could just do a quick Google search.
Most happy about the new policy, these people. So yeah, I'm gonna buy a plow, man.
I'm gonna plant that corn.
Go get a John Deere. Barack Obama, mother. I'm the president of plowing that ass. You.
Crowder's gonna Crowder.
These guys are so cringy. These guys are unbelievably cringy, and you know their undertones are so apparent. It's crazy to me. Might as well just put on blackface. Might as well. Might as well. Honestly, this kind of like crazy characters that you're trying to drive as you're doing these is just cringy to me.
This week, the mystical, age-old culture of China.
Oh, you good. Yo, you good. You good. You kept that at the end? Yeah, you good. That was good.
It's just jokes, guys. Okay.
Wow,
cool story. Good. Cool story. If you guys think that's humor, if you think that's trying to be funny, cool story. You can't use a veil of humor to say this kind of stuff and always be like, it's just comedy. We know the difference. And most smart people know the difference, okay?
Wow.
Right? I can't just, put on say like.
I thought the last thing they would want to do is be farmers. Wasn't that a big problem for hundreds of years?
Yeah. Isn't that why Arsenio Hall called himself the urban man's Johnny Carson?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Are people lining up out in the middle of cornfield, Iowa for new dunks?
How would you prove this, by the way? Like, how would you prove that you've been discriminated?
It's easy. Guys, this has been settled in court. This is not hearsay. Not only has the department admitted to these practices in the past, but they've had to settle in court as a result of being brought to court. And it's the largest settlement post-civil rights movement in regards to this matter. It's like so much money was allocated. This is like in the 90s that this happened, this settlement, to handle this. And you guys have to understand, the farming industry is like a bunch of subsidies. It's a bunch of loan programs because farming is not profitable enough on its face. So the government constantly has to subsidize it and do this so that they can compete with the global market and still provide food to Americans and people all over the world, right? So the government has to put money into that. When you say, I'm not going to give money to black farmers, or I'm not going to give money to, people of color who farm, you are essentially killing them out of the market. When white farmers are getting these subsidies, they're getting all this money, but then we're not. That causes an imbalance in the market. This is not hearsay. You can Google these verifiable facts.
That's not an opinion either.
You know, how could you even prove that redlining happened? Easy. There's cases that have admitted that have showcased this. My problem isn't that they have these opinions; is that they can just Google this stuff and find this information.
How would you prove that you've been discriminated against?
You don't have to. You just
well, I didn't get that loan. Sir, you had no credit. Well, that should not have stopped me from getting the loan.
I planted a Hennessy tree.
Yeah, you know, listen. If I got big lips and large ears and a wide nose, and I suck in all the oxygen because I'm like a monkey. Like, they might as well just said that. It's pretty much what they're saying. A Hennessy tree, really? Yeah. You know, and they're like, how could you prove you're discriminating against? Is that what you think? These guys are using all the worst caricatures to try to rewrite history and almost discount the suffering that real people have gone through to see, like, you guys didn't even go through anything.
That's what he's been doing.
Bro, and people are like, you should debate Crowwder. Why would I debate someone like that? This man's disingenuous. I don't mind people who would have a different opinion, but are at least honest about the facts. This man is a blatant liar. Yep. He panders to his crowd because they like hearing this stuff because it never conflicts with their worldview. He's so apparently disingenuous with this stuff. I'll link in the description. You can read this. This is not my opinion. This is the U.S. government. This is, I think, the Department of Agriculture who've admitted this. So when they're admitting culpability, how are you therefore afterwards coming out and be like, well, how can you prove that? They've admitted it.
You want us to talk or to, you know, argue with this person when, you know, this is going to be the same MO that's going to happen. It's not even based on facts. Whenever you fight with a pig in the mud, at some point you have to realize that the pig enjoys it. And that's what's going to happen. He's going to just throw things out there that makes no sense. And we're going to try to prove a point. And it has nothing to do. He enjoys that. So there's no point arguing.
But it's not growing.
Well, technically it did grow, but that ain't XO.
I put it in the ground.
I planted a VSOP XO tree. I'm getting in some niche esoteric cognac humor, mother.
Don't white people just go to their neighborhoods and build urban farms and ruin their communities? Isn't that what white people
works in Detroit? Like, turns out the soil content is a high level of meth.
Yeah, crazy. Whoa.
Wow, I didn't know.
That and teeth. Just random teeth littered everywhere.
I don't know how people watch these guys. The amount of pandering that happens on these people's platforms is just fascinating to watch. And, you know, there has to be an argument to be made, like, there's a financial incentive to lean into a certain direction because it benefits you and it appeases your crowd. It's very profitable. The amount of money that was offered to us to say certain things, crazy. You wouldn't believe. Crazy. So when I watch this stuff, I'm like, I'm not surprised. These people are clearly liars. They're clearly being disingenuous with some of the stuff that they're saying. They know it's patently false. A simple Google search proves this. They have researchers on deck. You know, they'll find all kinds of justifications for terrible things that are happening. Well, this person felt this type of way. And you can imagine that if you look at all the facts. But then here, they come in with such ignorance, right? And then they use these kind of like stereotypical characters, right? Pretty much doing blackface. It's blackface without the blackface. That's what it is. And they're laughing about it. And it's just like, okay, that's how you roll. It's cool. I don't get mad. I don't get upset. I just peep game. And I'm like, I know how it. And you're talking to somebody who's like, they featured one of my videos on their website, and I cringe so hard because I'm like, I don't even want to be associated with you guys. But, you know, it's profitable, so get your money, I guess. But for those of you who want to find objective facts that are relevant to public discourse, like I said, I'll put in the description below. You can read up on these settlements. You can read up on the statements. But don't look at all this stuff and just be like, oh, my God, they're getting handouts. The whole farming industry is a bunch of handouts. It's all subsidies. That's how it functions. Yeah, that's pretty much most of my thoughts on the matter.
I think you pretty much covered it. I just have nothing to say about this because there's nothing to say about this.
You know what I mean? Like, no.
Hennessy tree.
Guys, if you don't think this man doesn't have some bad ideas, you're being disingenuous at best. Disingenuous at best. All right? That's all I'm going to say about Crowwder. Absolute garbage. Can't stand his content. Anyways, that's just my thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, great. I ain't gonna say shit more.
What do you guys think in the comments below? What a goober. Goober, right?
I ain't gonna say.
Mira como toma, mira como morena, rico que se ve.